102.3 WBAB.
Motor vehicle motorcycle crashes account for 45% of all motorcycle fatalities. What are we hitting?
It's a single vehicle. You're basically, the blame is on the rider.
Right.
And when they write those statistics, they include everything. It could be from them being under the influence, going too fast into a turn, doing improper cornering into a turn, straightaways. You know, it's the rider's fault.
Going off the road.
Right. A lot of it is definitely going off the road. That's the mass majority. But 45 to 50% of those accidents being single vehicle, that should be an alarming flag for riders saying, hey, we're at fault. As much as we like to say is watch out for the other guy.
Right.
It's us.
Yeah. And, you know, the interesting thing is that you know you're on a bike. So you have to assume that everybody out there is an idiot and doesn't see you, because if you try and, you know, if you're just shooting in the road and figuring everybody sees me and doing what I'm doing, and I'm doing 45 and a 30, and grandma starts backing out the driveway, I'm pretty sure as you're sailing over the hood of her car, you're going to be going, oh, she didn't see me.
Right. we have to be, as riders, we have to be aware of the conditions around us. And for drivers, they have to understand that we're coming into the season new. There's more motorcyclists coming out now. It's spring. We're getting the fever. Gas prices are making us want to ride more, too. For gas economy on a bike is better than a car.
Absolutely.
And car drivers need to recognize that there's a depth perception issue. We don't look like we're going as fast as we really are.
Right.
They have to take things into consideration. A car takes the whole lane width up, where a motorcyclist uses the whole width of the lane to adjust for road conditions. If there's potholes, we're going to swerve to go around them if we can.
Right.
Motorcycles, for the most part, a lot of them do not have self-canceling directionals. So they may forget to turn their blinker off, and you may think they're going to make a turn, and you make a turn, and then you have that collision that is infamous of a car making a left turn.
And just because a biker is sitting in the right side, hugging the line and just cruising down the road, doesn't mean that you have a right to the rest of the lane.
No. As much as they say share the road, that is a little bit on the illegal side. You have to be aware of us. And our profile, it's easier for a car, especially if they're following a motorcycle, to see past us and just see the car ahead. So there's a lot of accidents on Long Island that are rear-end collisions, especially during the rush hours. If you're a motorcyclist during those rush hours, you really need to be aware of this, of your surroundings, because drivers will look past you because we're smaller in profile.
Right.
We have to be aware of ourselves. Those things on the handlebars are just not to polish. Those are mirrors. We should use them.
You know, interestingly enough, it says more motorcycle fatalities occur on rural roads, and half of the fatalities are related to negotiating a curve prior to the crash.
Right. Curves are a big one. Like I said, the experience is not the same as skill. It takes a lot of skill to approach a corner, a radius, a curve, whatever it would be, correctly.
Right.
And if you're going in too fast, or you brake in correctly during a turn, or you're doing things,
or even if you're doing everything right and you didn't see the sand.
Sure. Road conditions, or it's raining, or there's oil or antifreeze on the road. There's so many things. We have to be aware. We're riding the vehicle that's two wheels, that covers, the tires cover
the palm
maybe
of your hands.
Yeah.
Look at your hands, and either palm is the space that we're occupying on the road.
Right. And it takes more skill, because we're dealing with stability and balance.
Right.
We're more mental processing and physical skills for a motorcycle. We're using both our hands and both our feet for controls via clutch and braking.
Right.
Or a car, you just turn the key, put it in drive, and you go.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of thinking involved. For somebody on a motorcycle, they have to think a lot when they're doing situations.
Exactly. You're tuned into 102.3 WBAB and 106.1 WBLI. This is Plugged Into Long Island. It's Fingers. We're talking with Don Gomo from GoMotorcycling.com. And he also is a safety skills columnist for American Iron Magazine. His most recent issue, column, is about the effects of alcohol on us riding. And Interestingly enough, all of our bike runs almost end at a bar or a pub or some other facility where there's a watering hole.
Seems to be an odd mix, doesn't it?
So there's nothing wrong with having a beer and hanging out for a few hours watching a band, but don't have a beer and and a shot and then another thing and then get on your bike. That's not a good thing.
Right, that can really increase the risk.
So what kind of motorcycle does Don Gomo ride?
Since I'm a firm believer that one is not enough and you need multiple bikes, I have a 2007 Harley-Davidson Ultra CVO, a 1999 Buell S3 for my sportier, aggressive side.
Yep.
And I'm redoing a 72 Honda CB350 for old school cafe style, plus it gets over 70 miles to a gallon, and this day and age, that's a good thing.
You make two of those. We have a lot of people on the island that do a lot of motorcycling and that do trips and stuff. And when you're going on a trip, what is the best thing that you can do to prepare yourself for doing a long trip as opposed to tooling around on the island?
Long trips take a lot of thought process, and you got to know where you're heading. You got to look at the routes. I mean, there's many different ways. There's tons of websites that give tons of information in regards to traveling long distances, weekends, and stuff on how to pack. You don't want to overpack the bike because weight is an issue. If you have a passenger, weight is an issue for your braking distances, your starting distances, your handling.
I'll give you a scenario. You tell me the safety answer.
Mm-hmm.
You're on your bike. It's packed. You got a passenger. You're in the middle of nowhere. You get a blowout in the back tire. What do?
Blowouts are scary on a motorcycle.
Because that's something that experience might teach you, but it'd be good to know what to do ahead of time, a skill in that.
Sure. The one thing you don't want to do is, especially if you know if it's a rear tire blowout, you don't want to apply the brakes to there because that's going to cause handling problems. If a tire does blow out, obviously you're going to feel it right away.
Sure.
The best thing is to decelerate as slowly and as safely as you can and then pull over to a safe spot on the side of the road. If it's a front tire, same approach. Obviously, your handling will really be affected.
Right.
But you don't want to apply any braking to a tire that's flopping all over the road. So you want to safely pull over, and decelerating really fast is almost the same as braking because you're using the engine torque, it's engine braking.
Right.
So you want to decelerate slowly.
The inertia will take
it. And the one thing is, don't panic. As soon as you panic, you're freezing up, you're rigid. The outcome could be bad from that.
So stay calm.
Stay calm.
And let the bike slow
I know it's easier to say than do.
Well, yeah, but you need to know that in your mind because you don't want the after effects of freaking out.
Right. Well, that's where the education portion, especially for riders that have been riding for a while, taking a advanced riding education course like the BRC2 that they call it now with the MSF.
Now, what might somebody who, versus the beginner's class, obviously you pretty much assume what they're going to learn there, but what might somebody be, privy to in a experienced course?
Well, the next level that they have, the state program has in the MSF after the beginner, is a rider course called BRC2. It's mostly all exercises, where the beginner class is classroom and riding exercises combined. The second level is just all riding exercises. We interject information during breaks.
Okay.
The second level is basically 9 exercises. 8 of them are taken from the beginner course. The advantage of it is you learn to adjust your basic skills on your own motorcycle, which is if you have a big bike, a big Harley, a big Yamaha, whatever you're riding, obviously it's going to handle different than a 250cc training bike.
Right.
So you learn how to do the basic skills with your own bike, which feels a lot different, and you get better sense of control.